Good morning, students. The last time when we met, we had started the poem Ode to the West Wind by Shelley, and we did the first stanza of that poem, in which the poet describes the activities of the west wind on land. This power of nature, ferocious, wild power of nature, what she has been doing on land, that is what the first stanza of the poem Ode to the West Wind is all about. And today we are going to take up the second stanza, which provides us with a picture of, with a description of what the wind has been doing in the sky. So it is a skyscape, as the first stanza was the landscape. There are 5 stanzas, as I told you even earlier. So the first one we did the other day, and today the second stanza I am going to take up. So I read it out. Thou on whose streams mid sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and earth. Ocean, angels of rain and lightning, they are spread on the blue surface of the airy surge, like the bright hair lifted from the head of some fierce Maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height. The locks of the approaching storm, thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with the congregated might of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail would burst. Oh, here. Now, he is addressing the west wind, and while addressing the west wind, he considers it to be a power of nature, a ferocious, a wild power of nature, who is doing a lot of things, not only on the land but also in the sky. Thou on whose streams, the flaps of the winds, the waves of the winds, on whose streams, mid the steep sky's commotion, you are doing a lot of havoc even in the sky. Whatever you are doing on earth, that is being replicated in the sky as well, because the clouds, they are moving hither and thither from one place to another, from one horizon to another horizon, and they are like the decaying leaves, as the trees on earth, they shed their leaves. In the same way, these loose clouds, they are being spread and they are being carried away by the blowing and the howling of the wind, west wind in the sky. Thou on whose streams, waves, mid sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves. He is comparing the clouds with the dead leaves, about which he wrote, pestilence-stricken multitudes, yellow and black and pale and hectic red pestilence-stricken multitudes. In the same way, the multitudes of clouds in the sky, they are being carried away by the west wind. Loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean. Now the poet imagines that there must be some tree whose roots are there in the sky, and it is spread all through the sky. The tree must be there somewhere between the ocean and the sky. That imaginary tree must be having clouds as its leaves, and those leaves or clouds, they are broken, they are shed by the tree that particular tree, imaginary tree, and they are spread hither and thither. Shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning. And these clouds are real angels, Devdut, angels of rain and lightning. They are spread on the blue surface of the airy surge. Your surge, you are blowing, oh wind, you are blowing so ferociously, so wildly, that the clouds, they are almost floating on the airy surge of the west wind, on the blue surface of the airy surge, like the bright hair lifted from the head of some fierce Maenad. Now Maenad again is a mythological giant from Greek mythology, and that huge giant, he was a demon, huge giant. He had his hair lifted, always lifted in fear or in attacking someone. So like the hair of that fierce Maenad, these clouds are there hovering in the sky, spread all over the sky, lifted from the head of some fierce Maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, meaning thereby that these black clouds, rainy clouds full of rains, they are spread all over the sky from one horizon to another, and they are spread to the zenith. Zenith is always the highest point in the sky. So to the zenith's height, the seventh sky, as you may call it, the locks of the approaching storm. Now the storm is personified. He is presented as some huge giant who had his hair lifted, and these clouds are the locks of that particular giant. The locks of the approaching storm, thou dirge of the song. Oh, west wind, you are the death song of the dying year. The year is dying because now it is going to be the winter season, and the whole earth and the whole world would be undergoing some sort of long slumber, long sleep, and therefore the year is dying, and on the death of this year, the west wind is lamenting, is singing a dirge, that is a death song. Dirge of the dying year, to which the closing night would be the dome of a vast sepulchre. Now this is marvelous certainly, because Shelley is a masterpiece in creating imagery. He is not happy only with the image, he creates an imagery, and since the year is dying, the year is going to be buried, and for the burial of that year, we need a sepulchre, what we call mosque, maqbara, not mosque, my fault, sepulchre, the dome of a vast sepulchre, that is, these clouds are going to be the dome of a sepulchre under which this closing year is going to be buried. Dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night would be the dome of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with the congregated might of vapors. Vapors, clouds, and congregated, they are vapors, solid, congregated, accumulated might means strength of these clouds, which are vapors basically, but they are going to make the dome of a sepulchre under which this dying year is going to be buried. Vapors from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst, and this dome is going to throw down lightning and rains and hail and whatnot. So from whose solid atmosphere, the atmosphere of which is created by the clouds, the dark night, the dark evening, So, from the sky, hailstorms would come down from the sky. The rains would be falling down, and therefore they will burst rather. So there would be a storm, and then the poet finally ends this particular stanza with the word, "Oh, here, oh west wind, I am invoking your spirit, I am exhorting you to listen to me, to listen to what I want to say and what I want you to spread throughout the world, throughout mankind, my message to the people throughout the world. Oh west wind, you could be my messenger because you are that powerful, you are so powerful that you can create havoc not only on land but also in the sky, and your power, your might is felt not only by the earth but also by the sky. You are so powerful, and therefore I request you, I pray to you, O west wind, to listen to my philosophy, to listen to what I want you to say and spread throughout the world. So this was the second stanza. Tomorrow I am going to take up the third stanza, which is a seascape, where the poet would be describing what the wind actually has been doing in the ocean, in the sea, and then in the fourth and the fifth stanza he would come back to himself with his request, with his prayer to the wild spirit, oh wild west wind. So this is how we did this particular stanza, the second stanza of Ode to the West Wind. Thank you for today. Meeting tomorrow.